Well, indeed, state officers, a section, I should say, of state officers clamoring for a pay hike, to be specific, governors, senators, and MPs. And I'm glad now to be joined in studio by the chair of the Salaries and Remuneration Commission, Serem. Thank you so much for making time for us tonight. They're saying their salaries are low. They want to take up loans and mortgages, and in the end, with such salaries, they won't be having anything. What did you consider when you're setting up the salaries for these state officers?
Yeah, thank you, Hussein. Indeed, each employee would want to have the best in terms of the amount of money that they will draw as remuneration. But an employer will make consideration in terms of ability to pay that which every employee would want to demand for. That's precisely what we went for. As we stepped in to set remuneration and benefits for the state officers, the first thing that we did was to undertake a job evaluation. The job evaluation in itself was giving us a relative value of every of that position. After that, we moved into the next phase of salary setting, and the salary setting took into consideration a number of factors. One of it was, of course, the worth, the value of the position. And when you talk about the value of the position, it can be ranging from whatever amount to the highest that you can think about. But it will, of course, be dictated by the ability, by the employer to pay that amount. And that is why all employers would not be the same, because of the ability.
Are we able to pay them any more than what they are being paid right now?
I would repeat this again, Hussein. I think I have mentioned that over and over. Even as we stepped in before we set the salaries and remuneration for state officers, the wage bill was already unsustainable. Indeed, unaffordable and unsustainable. So it was more a question of how do we cure it. It wasn't whether we are able to pay or not. We were already beyond the ratios of sustainability. So it was more of moving in to look at how do we cure that. And we stepped in to set on the basis of the same considerations. Because the mandate of SRC was not just to set. And indeed, we wish it was just to set, because we would set and somebody else manages the issues of sustainability. But the key principles that were driving us, one of the greatest of it is the sustainability. So that's what we considered.
And with all due respect to what you considered, they want it to be reviewed. Can it be reviewed right now?
I'll tell you, our mandate has two parts of it. One is to set. The second one is to review. We do not mind the review. It does not set a time. It doesn't say you set yesterday, so you can't review today. We can review that, but it will be based on certain principles which has to be considered. What is the justification for the review? There could be a justification, but the driving factor as of now is, even with that justification, can the country afford to pay it? So those are some of the factors that I would wish every of those demands that you follow it up with, we are able to pay. If somebody is able to answer that, I think we have no problem as SRC to review
Could that be the basis of negotiations you're having? We had the National Assembly Speaker say yesterday that there are negotiations. They are talking to the Salaries and Remuneration Commission. Are there such talks, and what are the nature of those talks?
Talks as SRC is right from the beginning. As we moved in, we said we are open to any dialogue. Indeed, those are our key stakeholders. And we prefer that we dialogue. What does dialogue mean? It means that we want to understand each other. Where are we coming from? Why did we make the kind of considerations that we did? And until we bring people on board so that they are able to partner with us. And this is our country. What we have belongs to all of us. It is not a secret anymore. It's not like there is some revenues that perhaps we've never considered. We need everybody to buy in and to know that we are basing the decisions on certain very key factors.
They have just started their jobs right now. Does it bother you that it could be too early, what they are asking for? They've just started their jobs. Or let me put it in another way. You said you also have the mandate of reviewing.
Yes.
And you're open to whatever they want to talk about as SRC. How soon or how fast can SRC review their salaries? Is there
Well, it's a little surprising because indeed the first pay has not even been received yet. We were imagining that you would want to settle, you would want to look at the responsibilities of the office, and at that point you bring up issues based on the experience that you have already gone through. It would be a little disheartening to imagine that you would want to demand before you even get to understand the responsibility of the position that you are undertaking. And we are not refusing, even with that immediate and urgent need for review. We would still sit as SRC, but the factors still remain the same. We are hoping between the date we set and now that there is improvement in terms of the economic growth of this country. Why not?
From some quarters, you're already hearing in Parliament talking about disbanding the SRC, amending the Salaries and Remuneration Commission Act. Does that bother you as the chair of SRC?
Absolutely not. Believe me, it doesn't. It's not about SRC. It's not about Mrs. Serem. It's about the country. Because if we are concerned, if we have an interest of this country at heart, you truly will be concerned about the aspects that drive the economy of this country. Because we are looking at Kenya as a business entity. Anybody undertaking a business today, we would want to look at the prosperity of that business. This country has to prosper, and the wage bill is a factor of great consideration. The reason being, we're not talking about the 200s of the MPs we were considering in the past parliament. You're talking about 3 times the number. The economy has not grown within the same amounts. So unless we are conscious, and as leaders, we all look through the transparency of the economies that we are talking about, perhaps then we are reading from a different script.
Should we have a middle ground? Because Kenyans may be worried that if SRC says it's okay if they want to disband us, and we have, again, a parliament that decides to set its own salaries, how much they will be getting as MPs, we'll go back to where we were. And it will be dangerous for all of us.
Whether we handle today or the issues of wage bill sustainability stands out. Whether it is SRC dealing with it or another kind of a human being dealing with it, we will still have the very same issues. May I tell you, we had set as SRC, if you remember the initial proposal that we put forward, we had for the president 1.75 as a proposal. When we went round, the public listened, we listened to the public, we listened to all the stakeholders, and the one voice that came out is, we can't sustain it, bring it down. Of course, it would have been lower than. At some point, there was a proposal that the president should earn 500,000. We had to be a little more objective.
Speaking of the president, have you been in talks over the same since all this started with the president, since the clamor for pay hike started with the president? President Kibaki or President-elect Uhuru Kenyatta?
Yes, President Kibaki was indeed in support of what we went through to do. Even as we moved into launch, any leader that is truly considerate of this country will be concerned about the wage bill.
What about right now? Since all this started, has there been any attempt to reach you?
Yes, indeed. Part of the reaching is to look at how we will sustain the wage bill. The president-elect has a consideration of ensuring that the economy of this country grows.
Does he?
And you remember, even during their debates, they were willing to ensure that they bring down their salaries to manageable levels.
Does he have a position on this, what is happening right now?
We are yet to listen to him. We are yet to move in to get the formal, but informally, he wants the wage bill to be sustainable.
Finally, the induction course in Naivasha. You were supposed to be there today.
Yes.
You did not go.
Yes.
But other commissioners of the SRC went.
Oh, yes.
They were not listened to. Why didn't you go? They said they wanted you to be there. Why didn't you go? The governors, that is.
I didn't go because I had other undertakings. I had other important assignments that I was also handling. And going there was not about Mrs. Serem. It is the commission. We sent in the commission. And the commission is a body. It didn't matter exactly who it was that was going to present the issues of SRC. It wasn't also a negotiation session. It was more about let's share what went into the setting. Let's share how the economy of this country is. Let's share how the wage bill is. And let's involve them in coming up with what are some of the solutions as we partner together as leaders of this country, that we can come up together and look at some of the strategies that we can apply to grow the economy of this country.
Sarah Serem, Chair of the SRC Commission, thank you so much for making time for us. I'm sure very few of us would want to be in Sarah Serem's shoes right now, but wish the best of luck, and we hope for a quick solution to all this. Janet.